Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Hope everybody's doing well today. Thanks for tuning in to prep for Friday, July 22nd. So let's go ahead and dig right in. I'm not going to pull up the economic calendar. We basically just have PMI coming out at 9:45. Not really expecting any surprises there. So, reviewing yesterday, we opened, near the squeeze top. We tapped the top, fell down to the bottom to settle. Then back through our zone and setting new highs on the week, and even peaked our head over 4,000. Up in the top of this daily squeeze, we also pushed all of our lower time frame squeezes up further into this daily squeeze. We still have 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour. As we sit at the top of this daily squeeze, but we are starting to open up that daily squeeze from mid to low compression. And we are, peaked our head above 4,000. Looks like we're about to do it again pre-market. One thing to note, on a 4 hour, we have cleared our last trend line from highs. So we are kind of free flying above all of the trend lines from highs of this year, except for the January-March highs. That sits up with the daily 200, way up above. But we have officially gotten through all of the trend lines from highs. So this party can kind of keep going. We are up at that first Keltner, trying to hold it and push off of it, with the potential goal of getting to that next Keltner that sits up at our next key zone. So just like we arrived at this key zone, 39.50, 61. We've chopped at that, and now we're trying to push away from it. Next key zone above is the target we're trying to get to, and that second Keltner. So for today, so as you can see, we marked this little zone yesterday from pre-market low and midday low of the previous day. And you can see that's exactly where we fell back to find our support and our buyers to push higher. So for today, let's see if our squeeze bottoms here at 39.80 overnight, we only got as low as about that 39.80 and just held. So looking for that to hold if we do take a dip from this squeeze top back down. Looking for that overnight low squeeze bottom to hold. And this daily Keltner and the next squeeze bottom. If we go below that at any point, we could be headed right back to this zone where we found buyers. And if we do, which would be firing those squeezes to the downside. We also have that 2 hour squeeze sitting down at that zone. But, let's see if the party can continue. Everything's looking pretty decent overnight. And YM is kind of leading the charge right now. Tech a little weak after those snap earnings. So let's see if we can hold squeeze bottoms, keep pumping through 4,000 in a bid to get back to peaking out of the top of this at 40.35 and in a bid to get to that zone above. In Q. And folks, always feel free to chime in on the YouTube chat if you have any questions or want me to cover something. Come on. Don't do this to me, Toss. There we go. So in Q, strong again yesterday, already started to push to low compression yesterday, and now we're getting super thin on this daily squeeze and could fire it to the upside. Still floating between daily Keltners, between first and second. But on NQ, we just have a 1 hour squeeze. It's saying that the 2 hour fired. So yeah, NQ is going to be nice and easy with this 1 hour squeeze. If we reject the top and come back, want to see 12,500 hold. Big key psychological level. You can see we rejected it the other day. Rejected it yesterday morning. But then closed above it. So I want to see 12,500 hold and the bottom of this 1 hour squeeze with a goal of pumping up to the next daily Keltner. Here we go. And that 12,790 making a nice zone together. You can just call it 12,800 if you want, but that daily Keltner and that key level, kind of the targets to get to, and yet another key level past that, and that psychological 13,000. If this 12,500 and 460 give out, we're likely coming back to this daily Keltner, and if there was actual selling that ramped up, we could get back to this daily 8. Don't think we'll really drop past that and erase the week's progress. So yeah, let's see if we can hold above 500, or if we just pop and keep on going through yesterday's high to complete the journey. D-Force, that's a great question. Do I have a specific checklist before entering a trade? I like to see things align. So a lot of times we call things falling to burger bottom. I won't pick it up on the first test. There are times that I want to see it start to base, start to move up. I've been really trying to tie in moving averages lately to make sure they're supportive, or if we keep rejecting them, they're going to push us down type thing. Time of day will impact kind of my sizing, and maybe if I'm going to take a trade or not, depending on how risky I think it is. So yeah, I do have kind of a short checklist in my head that I go through, and I think that's a great topic to cover. I'll make a list for everyone, and maybe even make a little video, just kind of breaking. I'll review some trades that I take live in the room with you guys, and we'll walk through the checklist. So great topic. So yeah, let's see if NQ can hold 12,500. Keep on trucking. Unless I didn't mention it on NQ, but if you saw that zone that we drew yesterday, that morning dip got to it. So hopefully everybody liked that made sense. Making a little supply zone, or, a little support zone, sorry. That if we dip to, we can find those same buyers that bounced us at those levels to send us higher. So, the ready pushing up near yesterday's high. It's like everything else. Only a minor gap down, basically flat on the ready. Really NQ's lagging the most, and YM's trying to lead right now. So keep an eye on that, folks. We might see some early YM rotation. But the ready, as long as it can stay, above 1820, 1830, can keep trucking higher. Trying to get back to that second Keltner up above. Just above 1850. If we start to lose that 1830, we're probably going to come back to test this first Keltner and squeeze bottoms. YM. Just take a look over here real quick on that trend line. So, YM. Yesterday we talked about, can we get above 32,000? I wasn't really watching it end of day to see if it hit it. Oh yeah, peeked its head above for a second. Now we are back above 32,000 and pushing pretty nicely. So just a big key psychological level. Let's see if we can hold it once cash session starts. Or if we're going to take like a dip to VWAP or squeeze bottom. But nice thing on YM, it looks like that 1 hour and 2 hour are bottom are right near each other. And this 30-minute is going to kind of give us a great gauge for the early part of the day. As long as we can hold the 30-minute, squeeze bottom, 31,900, we can continue to just truck higher. I know that we're just like printing new highs and hanging out right near there, but if we start to come back off of these squeeze tops that we're running into, we might come back to test this 31,900. As long as that can hold, we can keep trucking back up through squeezes to try and get above like 32,200 and keep trucking. If we start to give out that 30-minute squeeze bottom, it could fire down to this 1 hour, 2 hour, which are very close to the daily 8. We tagged that daily 50, daily 8 yesterday and bounced. If this 30-minute squeeze gives out, we might just retest them again. We do have a key level there at that 800, 805 that could also provide support before that journey gets complete, providing a bounce, just like it did late yesterday. Apple got above 155. Talked about this yesterday in prep, a very key level. You can see Apple rejected one of my key levels, fell down to yesterday's low, the previous day's midday bounce, right? That same kind of zone we drew on everything. So, rejected that key level, fell down, then right back above, closing at the highs and staying above 155. Pushing a hair higher, pre-market. Let's see if we want to come back and retest this 155, 154.7 at the bottom of this 30-minute squeeze, or if Apple's just going to keep trucking. Excuse me. The next goal is getting up to that 160 and that daily 200, which technically we have enough in the ATR to get there today. So Apple could test the daily 200 today. One of the first names to do it. Come on. Don't be like this today. All right. So, AMD getting north of 90. Slipped it a little bit overnight in pre-market. So let's see if we want to revisit those lows or squeeze bottom right at this little zone around 89. Or if we can keep trucking through that 90.62, 91.91. And if we can get going today, not quite enough in the tank to get up to this next level. But you never know. Could be a strong day. If we start to give out that 30-minute squeeze bottom, likely falling back to this 87.8. Should that give out, cascading down. The daily 8's pretty far, though. Again, a little farther than an ATR. Oh my, Amazon. So hopefully everybody can see this, and maybe before the squeeze clouds popped up, this very, easy trend line that you could draw. That is support. We definitely want to watch that for if it were to give out, it could start to spell a change of trend for Amazon. So, for today, Amazon, could be close to firing that daily squeeze as it's starting to get above it. So let's see if Amazon can continue to push through yesterday's high, through these squeeze tops, in a bid to get up to this 2-day squeeze top and the third Keltner up, if you can believe it. I'd say pretty darn strong name this week. Didn't even need to hit the mean before trying to make the journey to third Keltner. So let's see if it can make it. Let's see. Yeah, just about enough in the tank to get up to that third Keltner today. But let's see if we can get through the squeeze tops. If we have a pullback, we'll want to see it hold that 122. I'm sorry, 123 down to 122, where those squeeze bottoms sit, and that trend line. Should that start to give out, we could slip back, but pretty strong name. Let's see if it wants to keep leading to the upside. BA. Definitely same thing going on over here. Strong name leading. Well, let's see if it can continue to make it the journey up to that third Keltner, already setting new highs pre-market. Probably a good candidate on YM pushing it up. So let's see if it can make it to that third Keltner up. Now that we are above 160, if we start to lose 160, coming back to test this trend line, once this gives out, we can start going back to test moving averages. I'm just skipping cat. If it's going to keep being this slow, I'm about to skip some names so we can just wrap this up. So Google dropped hard after the bell on those Snap earnings. Snap dropped hard. I'm not going to pull it up, but you should go see it drop from like 17 to 12, or maybe even it got as low as 10. But for Google, it is at the bottom of this 2-hour squeeze. Let's see if it wants to dip down and test that and this 110, and then try to make a recovery from this gap down. I'm assuming Snap didn't do so well on earnings, and so the other ad revenue names took a hit. This little wick is interesting, so let's see if it can base and make a nice pop back at least to these moving averages at 113, and then we'll see. GS, I'm probably about to skip this, that's why I took a second, but it's getting near that 330 key level for GS. Let's see if it wants to continue. Fired that daily squeeze. Almost a third Keltner and that 330. So see if it can make that journey. If not, likely coming back to 320. And same thing. We draw these trend lines and track these names because if they start to give out, and then another one starts to give out and another, it's going to be the first signs that we might have a reversion to the mean after such a strong rally. So, on Meta, I assume they took a hit too. Yep. Right back to the daily 8. Tagged the daily 21. So, this is what we're talking about. First name to give out. Maybe not even first, but something we want to keep an eye on. Facebook's pretty big. Part of Fang, which is now Ming. So, let's see if we can hold this daily 8 if we want to retest that 21 and if it can make a recovery and get back above its trend line. But we have a couple of names at least that are going to be giving us those first signs. So let's see if they can recover and if the other leaders can continue to lead. Microsoft. Come on. Microsoft looking strong through yesterday's high, kind of like some of the other names we've looked at. Was it GS or whatever? So let's see. Now that we are starting to peek our head above 265, if we can continue up to that second Keltner and that daily squeeze top up at 270, we got enough in the tank to get there if Microsoft wants to start waking up out of this kind of channel that it's in. But it might need to, might dip down to this 30-minute squeeze, and there's no other squeezes below that. So if we start to lose that 263, 262 and a half, then we could be coming back to these daily moving averages. And you could even draw a little trend line here that would intersect right about there too. Netflix. And yeah, PineWeb, that's a decent point. Google might make a better recovery today than others. So, the Snap earnings, it's a reaction trade. And if you go back and look, this happens quite often every time Snap reports. So go back and see how often does Google make that recovery pop back. Could lend some confidence to the trade. Netflix, that big pop on earnings, and then been guiding up last couple of days to try to get back to that 225. fired its daily squeeze to the upside. Got a nice 30-minute squeeze here. Let's see if 220 can hold to get us through 225, maybe even to 230. We are getting near that third Keltner, so it could easily be time to take a break. But we've seen plenty of times where things just keep going because they are in an accumulation mode. Watch this rising wedge, trend line from these lows. Basically going to be sitting right near 220, so if that starts to give out, likely back to 215 and that 212 where we based. Nvidia. Viddy. The strong run up, 40 points. Definitely draw your trend lines because we are, just like every other name, starts to give out back to daily moving averages. But with all these stacked squeezes, we at least have some great support here where we bounced twice around that 275, 276. So it might take a dip to retest that. Might just truck right on through yesterday's high and keep on going. Third Keltner up at, yeah, about that 188, 189. QQQ. Near that second Keltner. It's saying, POC's still down at this like last bounce point here. Just something to keep an eye on should trend lines start to give out and we start making journey back. But near this second Keltner, starting to peak above this daily squeeze, it will likely fire today if we stay above it and try to keep pushing. So let's see if we can hold this 304 pre-market overnight low. 304 was resistance constantly, and then we finally got through yesterday. So 304 should provide support now to send us higher through 308, that second Keltner, in a bid to get back to this 311. Closed at 307. Yeah, she's got enough in the tank to actually get to just about that third Keltner today. This next key level would be a hair past 1 ATR. Rocky Roku almost to 100 at that first Keltner up. Took a hit with the snap. Let's see if it can snap back, but I don't know, this one's a little uglier. We're definitely moving it, except for yesterday, so not a huge interest. I'd say let's see if it can hold that 91, this last little bounce point, 92. Make the recovery, but no interest really. SPX. We'll hit SPY Tesla VIX and wrap this up. It is a little past 9. Sorry for being a little late today, folks. Feeling a little under the weather. On SPX, we held that key zone yesterday. And pushed into this gap fill, almost making it, but 4,000 was resistance. I guess we just arrived at it near the end of the day. So, let's see. Oh, come on. Whole thing's frozen. If we take a dip, let's see if we can hold that 39.80, this last bounce point from midday. And this gap fill bottom at 39.75. Just a couple of point gap down. So yeah, let's see if we can hold 39.80, 39.75 to catch a bounce to try to keep going through this daily squeeze. Top 4,000, get through this gap, fill to 40.20, and that next Keltner up at 40.40. Key level at 40.62, lines up well with ES's next zone up near that 40.60. If we start to give out 39.80 and fall out of this gap zone, likely going back to our key level, right? The daily 50 sits there. We didn't even have to tap the daily 50 yesterday, so. But we have all of our moving averages stacked kind of back at this 3,900, at this last gap that we did fill. So, targets to the downside if we start to roll over. SPY. Over that 395.8, it was that afternoon bounce point. So definitely looking for that to hold if we take a little dip to squeeze bottoms. Just like we were looking for this zone to hold, and it did, send us higher. Looking for this to hold and send us higher. If it gives out, we'll be firing the squeeze to the downside, likely heading back to that last bounce point, 392-ish. But if we can continue to truck higher, get through 400, we could get to that next Keltner up. Third Keltner, that'd be a stretch. That's quite a bit over an ATR. So, but 405, you know, next key big psychological level. That third Keltner going to be stepping up to 404. So 404, 405, making a nice target above if we can get through 400. Tesla. I remember talking about early in the week before earnings, she can get above 800. And here we are. I know a number of folks nailed Tesla yesterday, getting those 800s, 820s, 850s. I think I saw some folks in. Made a great run up, but we do have a lot of levels that it had to take out, right? But we are pushing now, pre-market, to a new high through yesterday's high. Well, let's see if it wants to just keep on trucking. Next key level, 850, 865, and that daily 200 up at 900. Yeah, that's it's over an ATR, so likely not getting there, but close at 815. We can see that 865 on one ATR move. But we are at the top of this 2-day squeeze. This 1-day squeeze still intact. So if we can't get going through 830 with some vigor to keep on moving, then we are probably going to take a break and come back to test yesterday's high. If that can't hold, pre-market low. And that 800. VIX. VIX closed below that 23. My oh my. So just like we talked about this week, for us to continue seeing upside, we had to get below 24.5. Start pushing down to 23.33 and get below that. Next key level, 22.5, where we could see a bounce. And below that, we have a daily Keltner sitting right at 22. We are getting to the bottom of this daily squeeze. And now that 22.5 kind of cuts that daily squeeze bottom in half. If we can get through those, maybe down to this two-day squeeze bottom. And technically, she's got enough in the tank if everything rips today to get down to 20. But I don't know. Well, let's see how this 22.5, 22 goes, right? If we do catch a bounce at any point on VIX, back to test 23.33. Through that, this daily Keltner at 24. And we have the daily 21 and daily 8 about to be right on top of each other. Back at that 24.15. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully this was helpful to everybody. Good luck today. It's Friday. Size down. I think we've had an amazing week in our room. I think I've seen pretty much everybody's hitting some amazing trades with us. And I think we've all stacked a good week. So definitely don't do anything to jeopardize your week. Don't give anything back to the market. Size down. Have fun. And take those A+ trades, right? Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the chat. Good luck today.